What's going on, my people? We're about to have a conversation.
Yeah.
All right, turn your camera around.
That's good.
Yeah, it's
I got
sideways.
it.
See if you can turn it.
How about that?
There you go.
All right, all right.
Yes, that's much better.
How, how's the sound?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
you're
great, great,
good. You're
great.
awesome. Yeah, man. So, I read this article the other day. It was yesterday, and it was in reference to Shaquille O'Neal. The only way he would invest in his children's business is if they go to college. He said, he said, we're not rich. I'm rich. Okay. So there's a couple of points I want to hit at that. The first one is I'm rich. We're not rich. The second one is you're pretty much forcing them to go to college in order for you to invest in their business, right? You know, when I was coming up, my parents, it was a thing where it was like, if you want to stay in this household, you either have to have a job or be in school. Now, I'm pretty sure, if there was a business that I wanted my father or my parents to invest in, that, if I didn't have a college degree, or even if I wasn't in college, my father would have invested in it. And, we're not rich, but, it's when you're rich in love, that's better than anything combined. That's better than money. That's better than anything, right? So, I know, and ever since this article, I posted it on the page, on the Instagram page. It got about 300 likes. People are putting comments. Some people feel like, no, your children need to work to endure and in order to get this investment from their father. All right. Some people feel like, no, they deserve to get whatever their father has to offer in reference to having him invest in their business. So how do you feel about that, champ? Your screen is frozen. You put it in the refrigerator. It's cool. 1 second. I think my brother's screen is frozen. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in. Okay.
Right.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you hear
I
me?
was hearing you real good, right? For some reason, my camera cut off and I wasn't there, but I heard everything you said. Right.
Okay. Awesome. So how do you feel about that, brother?
I tend to say the sentiments of Shaq, and not only Shaq and many others, right? I think it's a far stretch for you to just believe that you're someone's child and all the labor and effort and all they went through, pain. I mean, we really don't know what the next person goes through to obtain whatever it is that they need to maintain a family or just simply themselves for a long period of time, right? And we get these kids today, and they really do believe, like, wow, my father or my mother or, they're working, I can do X, Y, and Z. You know, this thing about inheritance and just thinking you're privileged to it, is came under fire and abuse over the years. So I think when parents are looking at what they earned and what they went through to earn it, I think it's sensible to want your children to reach some form of acumen before you turn over so much of money to them. I mean, you are expecting them to carry on something. You know, I don't think that Shaq's opinion is far off, nor do I think uh, the guy who came up with Facebook, I don't think his opinion is far off when he said his daughter won't be inheriting anything. I don't think that you know the other rich guy, you know that other white gentleman who owned that Hathaway, the Berkshire Hathaway gentleman. He said his children
Okay.
are not getting anything. You know, they will have to work and earn. And so, you know, this seems to be your opinion with a lot of individuals who's in the 1% or close to that bracket somewhere. You know, they all seem to be of the sentiment that, you know, show me what you got before I want to give you, you know, what I have, you know. Yeah.
Why is it easier for white families to pass down money, to pass down businesses, to give shares of their business to their children? You know, why isn't the conversation like, okay, whatever Shaquille O'Neal's, you know, this man is almost a billionaire. So why isn't the conversation, okay, you know, I'm giving my child this percent of the company, you know, when I move
Well,
on? Or why isn't it a conversation of just giving your child some type of, not trust fund, but just giving them whatever money they need? Why isn't that the conversation?
well,
Especially if they are entrepreneurs.
well, from some conversations, you know, I don't have any money. Let me just be clear on that. But from conversations that I had with individuals who have a lot of money, and from my education, I know people with a lot of money, they send their children to these like industrial psychologists, right? And they look at their money a different kind of way. They got it and they're trying to keep it. And they send their children to these industrial psychiatrists, give them these great minds and thinking, and show them where this money come from and why they got to keep it and what the purpose of keeping it.
Yeah.
See, we don't grow up, I don't think, as people of color, you know, having generated that type of wealth and building that type of fortress around our wealth. You know, so I think that's why you see other people of color, possibly, you know, Caucasian race of people, maybe Asians and others, that they do it like that, right? Because it's really like for them, like they are taking wealth historically and systematically from people. So
Okay. So, all right. So one second. So people who are watching, I encourage you to put the questions in the question box. So as it scrolls up, we'll be able to see it. A young lady, she said that they need to have something to fall back on. I agree with Shaq. Go to school. That's a valid point. You know, I'm 50-50 with it. Like, I'm not gonna force my child to go to school. Like, if they don't want to go to college, okay, what do you want to do with yourself? You want to run a business? How can I help you invest in this business? You understand? What I am a big fan of, like, college can enable you to take a brand or a business to the next level. So whatever brand that Shaquille O'Neal has, all of the brands that he has, you can only imagine with, you know, kids going to school these days with technology, what they can bring to the table for his business,
yeah,
for the family's
because
business.
if you look at the situation, I just saw an article or some kind of parvisi on a kid, Black Seeds from Black Ink. And so he was making it known to the interviewer, right, that, excuse me, he was making it known to the interviewer that he didn't know he owned Black Ink, right? And then the company came
Okay.
and put crew and copyright Black Ink Crew. So every time when you saw Black
Mm-hmm.
Ink Crew on TV and you thought he was getting this money, he wasn't getting anything. So he doesn't own Black Ink Crew. All
Mm-hmm.
he owns is just the name Black Ink. Black Ink is not anything. And he come to find out from lack of education that, you know, they pulled the backdoor move under him and put ownership of Black Ink Crew there. And so all the money Black Ink Crew owned, they own the intellectual property to that whole Black Ink enterprise. And he just stuck as C's owning Black Ink. Right? So,
Wow. So he owns
right,
the
just
name
Black
Black
Ink.
Ink.
He thought that he owned Black Ink Crew, but he didn't copyright Crew. So they came under him with his lack of education, thinking he know. No, it's not his fault. It's about what Shaq said. Now you gotta have a certain level of
Yo,
acumen.
bro, let me tell you something.
Right.
Trademarking is so important. Like the education of trademarking is so important. You know, I had a conversation with my girlfriend today about that, about how important it is to if you make a brand, like I'm wearing this Paper Planes hat, right? So with this classes to when you get a
Right.
trademark, when you register a trademark. So say for instance, if you have Paper Planes hat, right? I'm pretty sure that the class, they probably did it for every class, meaning t-shirts, hats, sneakers, cars, airplanes, anything you can think of, because they have, this brand has expanded so far that you can come out with paper plane glasses and it's going to sell, right? So when he did Black Ink, he probably said, oh, okay, I can do Black Ink Crew, I can do Black Ink anything. No, bro, it's important. Because on those applications, when they send those applications to Washington, D.C., those lawyers that look over it, they're very specific on what they sign off on for you to have. So it's the same thing with my 127 brand, with my logo, with Boy Squad Harlem. Everything is specific. Like, you have to be pinpoint and be educated, because if my lawyer didn't tell me this stuff,
say it again,
I wouldn't
educate.
know. And in order to be a lawyer,
And
you have
then
to go
not
to school.
necessarily go to school, but because
Read a book.
you know, to comprehend. Let's not get this misconstrued. I'm a firm believer that reading is not comprehension. I'm a firm believer that just because you know how to read, that don't mean you're comprehending. Right. You know, you just know these formable letters you see, and you know where they go to make this word. But you know, your total comprehension of the picture, you know, what's lost. It's like you said, when you looking in the look, I don't know nothing about business and picked up a book about reading and comprehension, self-taught, and came across that being self-taught. You don't get swindled this kind of way, trying to do this kind of thing. But I think this also, we underestimate what excitement gives you the illusion of as well. This excited thing that you made it, you get so excited, everything becomes so fluffy and camouflaged in front of you, and you start thinking you comprehend and know everything. And then when you're making money, the other side say, well, the Morning Anthony think they slick, huh? Oh, this is what we gonna do, because they forgot to put the XYZ on that. So we gonna put the XYZ and watch this. And that's what happened when you're fighting and laughing and joking and running around naked on TV. I mean, you got a good product, but once you fall into that, you done fell to sleep. And I think that's the point that Shaq really makes by education. Don't fall asleep by what I earned, that he gave you stature and privilege. Gave you nothing. That's what he gave you, nothing. He gave it to me.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, our culture, sometimes we we lose track on what the mission and the agenda is. Back in the days, black people, I'm pretty sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, black people probably couldn't even go to college or couldn't go to certain types of schools. Or if couldn't go, it was hard for us to go. We have to learn how to embrace these opportunities so we can advance whatever we want to do in life. Whether it's owning a clothing line, whatever we want to do. Like give it a try. At least give it a try. Let's just not mirror, create a mirror image. Oh, okay, white people, their kids don't have to go to college, or some of them don't have to go to college. But we have to focus on what our agenda is. Case in point, Facebook. The guy who created it, what's his name?
Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Right.
They created Facebook in college. His college roommates, they created it. That's how it went down. He didn't have to finish college, but he gave college a shot. The different contacts and the information you get from school can help you in so many different ways, right? Swiss Beats. This man is buku rich. The brother went back to school, went to Harvard, created verses, created all different types of brands that help take his brand to the next level.
Look,
LL Cool J, he went back to college, went to Harvard. If I didn't go to Lehman, if we were
right, exactly.
I wouldn't have met you.
No.
You understand what I'm saying? Now you have the same hunger. You don't major in media, but your major has something to do with what my focus is.
Came by the
yes,
and all that came by in the track of the road of education.
In the track,
exactly.
If it wasn't for school, I wouldn't have met you. I'm not no corner boy. I don't get down like that.
Yeah,
that days is over. So we wouldn't have.
I'm a self-taught guy, way from the other side of a planet, and just you through education and just this formidable track of seeking and exploring so much. And I think that when we say education, and Shaq means it, say they got to get this, it's like there's a certain part of life that's seeking and exploring to get somewhere. Even if you look at associates, or bachelors, and the masters, if you want to break it down in a people form, associates, a guy you meet, hello, how you doing, right? You're learning some formidable line of communication, what you learn in those first first formidable years of school, right? And then you get a bachelor's degree. After like that first 18 months, you on your own. You can't even turn to your man. It's like living a single life at that point, right? Breaking your way down from that conjoined structure. Then you get a master's degree, right? And that's supposed to send you out in the world as this individual that can see things with this clear-eyed vision from this large peripheral view, right? So it all kind of some kind of way plays into the social relation of man getting into a better adaptive sociability or social activity with what he's going to be in relation to, mating, shaking hands, or whatever. And so still education, still tilling the land, education, still driving the car, still riding on. Now your parents don't want you in the car now that you're going to learn how to drive from them. So why leave their education just there? What about
even if it's a trade, man. Even if it's a trade.
How does your dad get this car you envision you on at whatever age? Or that suit, or those, how's he getting it? Like you said, man, I'm no corner boy. I don't come from that. I work hard, labor, learn some type of structured format.
Yeah.
And even in the
Yeah.
streets, really, by popular demand, dude want the smartest criminal than the dumbest rock standing on the corner. Right, dumb rock don't get nothing. Like dumb rock on the corner
Yeah.
now, he's not getting anything.
You know, it depends on how, because you know you have these private schools that the wealthy send their kids to, and I'm pretty sure a lot of those classes are very much college prep. They put them in a situation to be far advanced, probably more advanced than some college students. They build different contacts, things of that nature. Um, so I guess here comes the flip side of that. You know, if this young adult, you know, has this idea, you know, create a platform, sit with a lawyer, sit with an advisor, an accountant, say, hey, listen, son, listen, daughter, if you want to do this, that, and the third, okay, this is how we're going to strategize it and go about it. Because we have to be careful on what we force on our children.
Well yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? We have to be careful. You know, if we don't agree with what they want or what they want to do, there should be always be a plan B, another option, because you know mental health is a serious matter, and you know when you put pressure on a child to do something that, or a young adult at this point, to do something like go to college, and they're well invested in an idea, you're putting their mental health at jeopardy. We have to be very careful about that.
That, you know, it could be touchy both ways. I mean, we have, you know, they always say that when it comes to people of color, how and what we are pushing our children to, it kind of get kind of confusing, right? Because we could at one point have a very well-educated child that comes from a bad socioeconomic condition and go to school with others who are not so smart. And then these children have been known to downplay their intelligence to be accepted by this other group of children. You know, there's been a lot of children succumbing to pressure to that. I think parents should learn how to push those children more, weed out the children that can't pace up and get them to pace up with their children, in order for our children to understand that, you know, they're just very well equipped. Because there's always been this thing, like if you say to a black mother, they say, oh, Miss Graham, come to school, you know, about Anthony. You know, the first thing on the mind is like, oh, Lord, what the child done, they found from statistics. More than she like, oh, God, he must be did something excellent today. And then the white mother they found from statistics, when you tell her that, she's already like, oh, wow, they're probably voting Tommy Turner. He's probably going to start on the base for them. And automatically she put him there, but he dumb as fruitcakes. And she's getting called because he's messing up. And you're getting called because the teacher can't understand why your bright child won't get on board. So there's a lot of this psychological chained up, or how we're pushing our children, how far, what we should be taking them away from right away, which kids we should take out of their bad pool and bring with them and surrogate them so that they don't feel as though we're saying, hate all your children. There's so many of these new techniques or these old techniques that's out there for us to like get these children to understand education, because really technically what we're discussing, we're at a standstill with education. And most kids are saying to it, what you're saying. If a kid can look, is what one thing.
Because these days kids, what they want to do, they want to make money. If you can
look and be,
you got these kids in high school. Some of them don't even care about school. They just infatuated with the term or the action of I want to make
like your
money.
son is saying, right? Like
what
say
can I do to get rich?
you well off now, right? And let's say I come to you, I'm your son. And I say, well, Dad, I don't want to go to college, but how about you buy me one of them trucks? Because I heard if I got that truck, man, I can make some money too. And you're like, man, you're not making. And then you find out you can make $80,000 a year driving the truck, picking up loads. That's why sometimes we don't get what happened to the intellectual mindset of young African American men or our generation period, when they still doing these crimes that are yielding us nothing but death. And one CDL training, they're off the street. I mean, one CDL training. You're taking care of your family with the same hope you're selling to the world while you're doing it.
Let's get back to the topic though.
Right.
We're not gonna be on here long. We just, all the people that are watching, we're gonna be hitting y'all with different topics during the week. Okay, we're gonna be addressing different topics during the week. So I encourage you guys to tune in whenever you can. I don't have a set date or time that we're going to be coming on. We're moving in the spirit, okay? This is volume control. You can turn it up or you can turn it down. All right? So the topic is, for children, is inheritance free? Is inheritance free?
I don't think it's free.
I don't think it's free.
No,
it's not free. I think when you give something to a child as inheritance for free, you don't know what that child is going to. You don't know what you can be enabling that child to do.
Let me say this. I don't believe that inheritance is free. And I'm saying from a personal, like me, right? Here, you know about my personal story, but see, I've done a lot of things in my life that I think that I haven't done anything, man, to earn anything that my parents. See, I mean, I'm making that personal call. Like I'm a man that did a lot of change. You come from a dusty type of track to meet great guys like you. So I don't deserve nothing. Yo, I gave my parents nothing but, is it a court case? What is this boy doing? Lord, I'm losing more money. So when they got in their final years, I saw myself as a child more like wanting to show them that I changed and I can earn more. Like, I didn't think I earned, like, I don't look at it.
Because we're not talking about land. We're talking about a situation where you get 18, you get 19, and you go to your parents and say, Mom, Dad, you owe me this.
Nothing.
Your parents don't owe you nothing. And I think that's the discipline that needs to be embedded in children. We don't owe you nothing. Only thing we owe you is love, time, and the nurturing. Okay, the nurturing, like to be able to nurture. I pronounce it wrong. To nurturing. Okay, like that is what is owed to a child. Maybe a few more things. You understand what I'm saying? But we got to get out of this thing where it's like, we raising these kids to just have their hand out. And I'm grateful that my daughters, don't have like a handout spirit.
You know it's beautiful, brother, because listen, right? Your parents, right, are going to someday not be here. I would think when mother's not here no more, papa not here no more, nobody got my back. I mean, nobody got my back. I mean, just.
Let me tell you something. It's funny you say that. My mother, she passed in 2012. My father, he's still here by the grace of God. And, whenever I need him, bro, he's there, man. Now, I'm a firm believer, like, of, you know, God bless a child who has his own. Moreover, you know, when you think of God, the next person under God is your father, is your
Bro,
parents, bro.
who cares? Bro,
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, your father is the father of the flesh, and then the other
yeah,
father
you know,
is the one of the spirit.
facts, right?
So,
But what can you do?
Rafiq, what's up, my brother? One of the greatest producers I've ever met before. It's my bro right there. It's so important, man, that we embed these things in our children. You know,
Man,
no handouts, man. No handouts. You know, you gotta be disciplined. I think schooling it creates a discipline for you,
I got
man.
a sister, right?
You know, even when it comes to
I
a
got a
woman, even when it
sister.
comes to a woman,
Excuse me,
right?
cutting you off. I got a sister.
Go ahead, go ahead.
She ran in a household, and it was this open household, right? But you see, all the kids got to,
Yeah.
and in the end, I think they came out to be very, very well educated children. But my sister kind of let
Yeah.
them have this evolving door to get there. And I think that was a great experience for them children, as opposed to getting in their way, letting them know that the avenue of education was there. How you fall, you'll pick yourself back up. You understand? And if this is the way that you want to learn how to get the education, then she allowed them to learn that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, as they got older, all of them went back and got great education. And now they're doing great things. You know, sometimes, you know, this discipline, like, you guys got to be disciplined.
Yeah, it's so much you learn from school, man. You learn a lot from professors. You learn a lot from your classmates. You know, you guys come together. You come up with good ideas. You hold each other accountable. Have accountability partners. And then the thing about it is, the good thing about school is that you can always go back. You can get a degree in one thing, be successful at it, and say, you know what, I want to do something else. You understand? And get a degree in something else and become even more successful and live to tell that story. Because I think a lot of times children, they just afraid with the I don't know if they feel like they're gonna struggle too hard, or I don't know if they feel like they're not gonna have fun in college. I don't know what it is with these kids these days. Peace, brother. With these kids these days, that makes them feel like they want money. It has to be money. Everything. It's not all about money. You understand what I'm saying? It's not all about money, because if you really wanted to be successful and have as much money as possible, you have to re-educate yourself.
Most people that's rich on the intellectual properties of things, like they're not even.
Yeah, you gotta re-educate. You gotta re-educate yourself. You know, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a doctor, whether you're an IT specialist, you have to continue to re-educate yourself, or else you're gonna be left where you started at.
Yeah.
And not be successful.
Yeah. And we see a lot of that today, man. Education, man, is met so many.
Mm-hmm. Yo, this is my brother Devin right here, man. Listen, champ, I don't know what you're doing right now. If you're able to tap in for the last part of this conversation on this live, I would really appreciate that, man. We were talking about an important topic, how important, what the importance of disciplining our children so they don't feel entitled. Because that's another thing. Shaquille O'Neal's children, they probably feel like they're entitled, man. They probably feel that they are entitled to, because they're just not a regular family. This is famous, a celebrity family, right? So you got social media. Okay, cool, champ. You have social media. You know, they're making fun of Shaquille O'Neal for his way of reasoning, of thinking like that, right? So now that's just fueling That's fueling how they feel about why their father is supposed to give them this. You're not, and I think that's what Shaquille O'Neal is trying to preach to his children. Like, you're not entitled to for me to give you all these millions to invest in your business. You have to show me that you deserve
Right,
it.
like you could say that if I was Shaq, right, I would say, hey, look at me, son. You know, you think I'm the biggest good-looking guy in the world. Look, man, I clown, I joke, I do whatever I got to do for this. And he might pass that sentiment on to his children. They say we looking like in a good-looking world. You know, maybe look at his children. They all don't look good-looking. Don't look like no $100 million basketball player going drop down on the floor. She got to put a little bit something more in. And it ain't about Shaq being a daddy or his son that don't look so good, right? So, you know, like there's a lot of things that can go into why you're saying that.
Yo, brother, it's reconditioning.
Yeah.
We have to be reconditioned. Like the root to being financially stable is being educated. Like like this whole Instagram famous hit the jackpot, hit the lottery.
I got
that
the
shit.
bag.
It don't fly, man. That's a fantasy. It's a fantasy.
They got that bag.
It's a whole fantasy, man. You know, that's that whole thing of, oh, I want to go to the NBA. Yeah, it's cool, but how many people go to the NBA?
We dealt with this last time,
right? And then the ones who go to the NBA, how successful are they?
How many people get the $100 million? Ain't no 10 people on the team with no $100 million contract.
Listen, man, you feel a sense of value. You feel like you value yourself whenever you learn something new. You know, every time, every week, we got a good grade on those papers. I'm pretty sure you felt better about yourself because you knew what you had to go through to finish that paper.
Anytime I'm spelling the word right, I'm feeling good about myself, right? So just let the truth be told about it. So that's the truth, brother. Yeah.
Okay. Peace, King.
Yo.
Peace. So Ant, this is my good, brother right here, Devin.
Great.
How you doing, sir?
All right. So our brother Devin right here, he's currently in law school.
Sir.
All right, studying criminal law. All right, and he started off. Tell him your career, how you started off in your previous career.
Yeah, so I started. Went to college, didn't have no real guidance from my parents because my parents, they high school graduates really didn't know, but they knew that education was important. I needed to go to college. Didn't know what I was going to major in. So originally I majored in chemistry thinking that I was going to go the pharmacy route. Kind of flunked out of that. Ended up in the engineering department. Didn't know what engineering was till I got there. I was good at math. Ended up graduating my engineering degree. Worked in the engineering field for the Department of Navy for the past 6 years. Working from home, watching George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of that stuff. My purpose, I knew it was different than what I was doing. Got a lot of flack from my family because they're like, you got a 6-bedroom house with a pool, you making 6 figures, you doing all these things, why are you sacrificing all of this to do something different? So my opinion is, our community, we have the mindset that we have to pick one avenue and stick with that avenue until the day we die. We have to have more examples. Well, I'm trying to set the example that it's okay to do something in your 20s. That don't mean you got to do it in your 30s. And then your 40s or 50s or 60s. So my purpose of going to law school is, representing our community as well as, trying to set the example that, you can have lives and be in a legal field. You could change, you could switch, you ain't gotta pick one major and you stuck with that
That's
major for the rest
true.
of your life.
Oh man, we appreciate the Navy, man. I
Sure.
got a brother, man, that served real well in the Navy. You know, we won't discuss that, you know, on live, right? He wouldn't want me to.
Yeah.
But, right, you know, so,
Yeah.
you know, yes, to those who draw the sword for the Navy, just your whole journey and just what you said about, say that again, that you did not come from a bad, so say it again where you came from, the house you came from. So I don't think they heard that. Maybe they think you said you came from 120. Yeah,
Yeah, they got to turn the
maybe they
volume up
think
on
you
that
said
one.
you came from 125th Street. Say that again where you came from.
Right. I came from a single mother home. Both my parents only high school diploma, and they embedded in me, my brother and sister. I'm the oldest of three. They embedded that education was the key.
Right.
Education was the way.
Right. Right.
There's so much beauty in education. So real quick, Devin, how do you feel about the Shaquille O'Neal situation, about him pretty much only investing in his children's business if they go to college to get a bachelor's or a master's? And it's okay to be 50-50.
I think that's the way. You know, you have to have discipline. Shaquille, I think he's doing the right thing because his kids don't have to work, but it would handicap and enable his last name if he just gave his kids everything. What he's trying to do, he's trying to make sure that his family name 100 years from now is taken care of. You know, we need more doctors, we need more lawyers, we need education, we need all of that. So forcing them not only to pick up some sort of mental trade, you know, it trickled down. It's going to trickle down because if their minimum level of education is a bachelor's degree, you know, their kids and grandkids, they need to at minimum be doctors. Everybody needs to have a doctorate degree.
Yeah, you know what it is? That now at this point they're raising the bar.
Right. Raising a bar, it's just evolution. That's the way of the world, you know. So not to bump my parents, I mean, having your high school diploma back in the 80s and 90s, you made it. You know, you could take the city test. You could buy a brownstone back then, being a city worker. You know, but nowadays, you know, evolution, it increases. So to have a brownstone now, you got to pull out that doctor's degree or something. You know.
Yo, I know one thing, man. Right now, you know, it's a blessing, you know, to have 3 educated, you know, black men online right now.
Right.
You know, in college, you already have, you know, degrees or what have you. We're working towards ours, and I'm glad that I've always, you know, strive for it.
Right.
I'm blessed to have a girlfriend who also pushes me for that. Anthony, his wife, pushes him the same way. You know, and I think that it's just a blessing for us to be here and to not to underrate education as if there's so many other options. There are plenty of other options, but moreover, I feel like whatever dream you have, whatever goal you have, if you educate yourself on it, you can save yourself from a lot of trouble.
Definitely truth. I want to agree with you with that because I'm going to say this is generational. Like I'm almost 60 and still going to school and still see that, you know, that I must keep doing, right?
Anthony, briefly tell Brother Devin your story.
I got a dusty.
And my followers,
I got a dusty story, right? But I'm gonna brief it up, right? I got more than 40 years of my whole natural life of being 59, having had some kind of way that I dealt with the penitentiary system as a juvenile, 20 years in and out as a kid. And then I caught 20 years straight from like 23 to 43 for 6 attempt murders on cops. I came home in 2007 and I made a way for it through education. And you know, I met a lot of toils and struggles, you know, from homelessness, not because I didn't have anything, because of my crimes. Like people wouldn't put me up, nowhere to go. So I met all these like low poverty struggles, homes, anything. And then, you know, I just kept pushing education over anything when I came out the penitentiary. Then, you know, it worked well for me. It got me here to this platform. And, you know, we just tried to make a change. And I tried to show, like, the generation I come from that education a must. Because, you know, some of us still believe that we can make it without knowing how to spell. And, you know, I just, education, man. You know, changing, man. You know, not
Yeah.
giving.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's up. So Devin, man, like, what are some of the struggles? What were some of the struggles you had, you know, in undergrad or when you was in school for engineering, and even now, what struggles do you have?
Most of my struggles came from the limited amount of resources to attain the blueprint for what I wanted to do. 2% of African American people become engineers. 2%, and then the legal field it's only 2.5% attorneys. So I have to navigate through this world trying to find that 2% that's going to help me. Not only help me, I don't even need help. I just need a blueprint. I just need to know what to do. Do I major in this? Do I major in this? Do I intern here? Do I enter here? So that's the biggest hurdle, and that's the biggest struggle. So the importance is having people who've been there before and listening to those people who've been there before. Because again, the big word is evolution. Our community, we make the same mistakes. We don't evolve. We don't listen to the elders. We don't listen to people who've been there before. We want to do it ourselves. We want to try it ourselves. That's wrong. That's the negative. It's a trauma response, bro. Like, I understand everybody want to be independent and stuff, but we got to listen to people who know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Brother Anthony, we took a relationship course last semester in Lehman, and you know, he was speaking so much knowledge, man, and dropping jewels in class. And every time he spoke, I listened. And I think it's important what you say, man, about being able to, even if you got to look for it, look for that information, look for that person who could give you that information, give you the blueprint, because it'll save you from a lot of stuff.
So the difference now is the blueprints online. That's the difference between my parents and this generation now. Because now you Google how to be an attorney, be a cop, be whatever you want. Back then, it was gate kept. You know, you got to go through the gatekeeper. And who's the gatekeeper? You know, you're talking about people outside of our community.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about the Jewish community, this community, the Chinese community. You know, that's the hardest part is getting into those communities and stealing that blueprint, trying to attain access to what you want to do.
Yeah, and I also agree that even in the generation that I come from, we gotta sometime also think that just because we might know a little something, it doesn't bar us from like getting to what this new thing, the new generation is doing. Because I found out a lot of us in my generation, we don't have an idea what you know, the younger generation of those that came up, what they want to do, what they're looking at. And, you know, we just thinking that we just know. And sometimes to know a thing is to sit down with that is opposite to you, to learn what they're doing and to find out what's conducive. And then we can move this, we can push this a lot better as well, you know. So I believe I implore all of us, just because we are parents, not to just run on. I'm the parent or I'm the elder. You know, sometimes we gotta tone down a little bit too.
I think there's
go ahead, my bad, bro.
I was about to say, with society now, there's multiple ways to gain access to a lot of things. My personal opinion with the older generation or people above me, you know, I respect the work ethic, but we don't have to go get a city job and be in that city job for 40 years before we could go
Yeah.
on
That be feeling like
vacation.
slavery, bro. I'm sorry. That shit be
But go
feeling
on
like
vacation
I
to
work
do
in the
that.
city, man.
So my generation, half of us lazy and don't want to work, but the other half, you know, we barely can sit still for 5 years, honestly, because it's always another way. It's always a different way. So, I mean, all respect to all of my family. You know, my grandfather, he drove the B-52 for 30 years. You know, my cousin drove the A train. You know, so I mean, I come from a family with nothing but city workers, but that could have
Yeah.
been me. It could be me. I can't sit still for more than 5 or 10 years. And I mean, this is just a testament. I just turned 30 last year. So, I mean, how I envision my 30s, I told myself, you know, 30, I want to be an attorney in my 30s. When I'm 40, I could still be an attorney, but it's not permanent, you
You
know?
might want to
It's not
run
Hey.
permanent.
for office or something,
My,
bro.
Look,
You might want to get into
listen,
politics or
hey.
something like
this
that.
how it
Yeah.
starts.
Hey.
It starts here,
My
man.
brother, a
It
great
starts
naval
here.
man, and he always implored this upon me. Hey, Anthony, reinvent yourself every 3 years. Every 3 years, come up with
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
that's different than what you're doing
yeah,
every 3 years. And then when you
yeah.
reach, then you'll get to a place where you got it. Yeah, yeah. Don't get stuck.
Don't get
Don't get
stuck. That's
stuck.
the major thing. Don't get stuck. And, you know, I was just talking to my grandmother because back when I was in college, she was like, oh, because she's a home aide. She goes to people's
Mm.
homes, you know, takes care of them. She's like, I want to go to school for my nursing, blah, blah, blah. And I remember back in 2014, I'm in college, and one of my classmates was 50, 55. That was at the time the age of my grandmother. But now, you know, I talked to her during Christmas time, and she's like, baby, I want to go to school. And this, I'm like, Grandma, you could have had 3 degrees by
By
now. You've
now.
been talking about this for 10 years.
Yeah.
You keep saying, oh, I'm too old. I'm too old. But I'm like, man, now you really old. You should have did this 10 years ago. Don't get
It's
stuck in
crazy you
that
say that.
mental, don't
Yeah.
get stuck in that mental spot where it's like you feel like you can't move. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just got to do. Sometimes
Do
you
it.
just got to do.
Yeah, this lady at my job, that same thing happened to her, man. She was a PCA, and you looked up this woman. She has to be in her 60s, bro. She just got her nursing degree.
But
Never too late.
Yeah. Yo, listen,
it's not, man.
never. I read a story
Never too
one
late.
time about 15 years ago. It's about this older guy. I think he was 90 years old. He never learned how to read and write because he grew up doing segregation. He started back in preschool
Right.
with the kids. He said it was one of the most exhilarating times of him being free in his life. And he was 90 years old,
Right.
sitting up there learning how to read with preschoolers. He said he didn't get the
Right.
chance to do it
Mm.
because, you know, during this time, you know, you couldn't go to school when you was black. They couldn't afford books. And when they finally told him he could go
Right.
to a school, he went back to school with the preschoolers and
Listen,
learned how to
man.
read.
Listen, big bro. There was a reason why back in slavery, the slave masters did not want us to learn how to read, and they did not want us to learn how to write. They saw something in us. None against any other culture, race, none of that. But they saw something in black men, all right, and individuals in general. Let's just say black men because we were on that plantation. Our ancestors, they saw something in us, and they said if they learn how to read, if they learn how to write, they gonna be
Well,
more
when they
powerful
went
than
and took
us.
you from where they took you from, they knew full well what they would take. Now, you know, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people underestimate. They say they present this picture. I know for a fact that when they came to take you, they didn't come. You wasn't in a beast or this savage talk. But we was kings and rulers when we got swindled. When they snuck, we weren't like they saw what we had, and then got us and kind of like, you know, say, well, let's show these boys that they ain't got sense and broke a generation down, but they're capable because they in that
Mm-hmm.
fool knew they took kings, queens, princes, great laborers,
Yeah.
great workers. Man, for Shaka, all the way back to Shaka and them, they knew they was dealing with great war strategies to cut a spear down and make you fight hand. I mean, they was aware they wanted you. Look, they got, look, you know, just for 1 second, they got an old inscription I read about this Egyptian pharaoh. I forget his name, but he had on his tomb that people will come to see us and stand at the mighty Egyptians and say, wow. And then they will forget that we were people of color and we done all of this. And then one day we will go to them and they will begin to teach us the things that we taught them as if as though we knew nothing. So it's not that they don't know that, they know that. That's why the nose gets knocked off and all this other stuff happened. They know it, Lamar, but that's why they broke us so. So we won't remember what you said to get back there. That was the purpose. You know, I just want to say that though. You know?
Yeah. So Devin, real quick, bro. For children, do you feel like inheritance is free?
Yeah, elaborate on that question a little.
So, okay, so when we say inheritance, we're not saying land, we're not saying property, things of that nature. We're talking about entitlement. Do you feel like children are entitled to what do you feel they are entitled to when they become young adults? 18, 19 years old.
They're entitled to they're entitled to the brand. So whatever brand that family has or own, you know, so Steve Jobs is my dad, you know, I'm entitled to Apple. I'm born into the Apple world.
The brand.
So by the time I'm 18, I need to be contributing to Apple some way, somehow. So I don't know if that means I need to go get a technology degree, so I get, you know, have a little business degree or something, but I have to be a part of this pyramid to uphold the brand.
Pretty much that's what Shaq said. Pretty much.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Same thing with Shaq. Like, okay, well, you know, you have the brand, how you going to contribute to the brand? Same thing with, you know, Master P and Romeo. I took you this far. At this point, how are you contributing? Because you just have your hand out talking about, I ain't did this, I ain't did that. You know, you hold the last name. So what are you going to do for the last name?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good example, man. I like the way you gave that example. That was a beautiful example.
Yeah.
That's why
I'm glad they came to an agreement, because the last thing you need to see is that.
Yeah, especially in our community, we can't operate like that because, you know, we're already looked at in the next light. So that's just
back to education, brother. Because my mother would tell me, don't argue and fight with your brothers and sisters in the street, because if you do, then everybody will attack you. And now that was way before social media in the 60s, right?
Right. But people feel entitled, people feel privileged, you know. For some reason, he felt entitled that, you know, I think it's just a mindset, being in a sunken place. Just being in a sunken place, and like, I don't know what he's comparing it to, but my dad got money, so to take care of me forever. But it might just be a failure and a disservice on Master P's end, because sometimes we community, we think because we made it, we shower our kids with things that we didn't have. So in a sense, that handicaps them, because now they don't have work ethic. Now they don't have no more to go to college because we take care of them.
I think that I think that's the argument. That's the argument.
But that Romeo one, he was going to school, wasn't he?
He was, but it was different
All
though, right?
his,
It was.
And that boy,
was
he
he
went
in
to
basketball school?
some schools, right?
You
Yeah.
UCLA or
And he was doing
University of
some
California or
commercials,
something?
but I don't know whether that was really he going to that commercial school or was he doing promo commercials. But
But if you think about it, he ever
right,
actually
no.
had to work. Like, has he like did a little music stuff, which was fun. So it's like I look at him and then I kind of compare him to like Diddy's kids. Like Diddy's kids work. Like
You
Diddy
know,
make his work.
and you know, not only did he, you know, we were speaking earlier, like Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, he went. He went to. I'm sorry. He
UFC.
went to USC.
Yeah, I know.
He had. It says he had a brief stint
Yeah,
at
so he ain't look,
USC after getting a basketball scholarship.
Because that's
He left in
education
2007.
then. You can't keep up education. That's brief stint, scholarship.
yeah, but I think that it was fun for him. So once you get to
Yeah.
a
An
collegiate level,
experience.
that shit not. So
Yeah.
he's running. He has a habit of running away from things that are getting difficult because that always comes in and saves the day. Which is why at 30 years old, with I think he just had 2 kids. That's why he's acting out now because he ain't never had to work.
Fellas, and the illest part about it is, if he now respectfully, if he'd have went to school, if he would have continued, maybe he wouldn't have got jerked out of the rap snap deal.
Yeah, I mean, if you consistently working, I'm gonna give you a little bit of the business. I'm gonna make sure you taking care of. I took care of you your whole life, so why stop now if you working? But now it's like, bro, the stuff I went through, bro. Like I'm from the hood, Louisiana. I worked my way up.
Yeah.
PA. I'm playing for Toronto at this point. You know, then I take out a loan. I start this record label. So it's like I've been grinding my whole life. So I just wake up and I'm like a 30-year-old texting me asking for money. It's like that don't sit right, bro. That don't sit right with me.
Well, you know, my grandfather would like to say, work builds character. Work builds character. In order for you to...
And I think
Y'all made a valid point. Y'all said Diddy's kids is out there working. He got
dancing and everything. You see the son dancing like him and everything now. Lord Diddy, he doing all the moves. He's shaking, he putting it in.
Diddy kids, even Will Smith had them in movies at a young age. So it's like them kids, if you really want about it, like the Smiths, they got more money than they really up there because you got Jada and Will is like on some Denzel type stuff. So it's like, and he's still getting paid.
Like Denzel's son.
So when you
Excuse me, like Denzel's son. What? Put it in. Denzel didn't help his son. Want to be an actor, anything.
From the outside looking in, you could kind of look at the parenting types, and you could put certain parents in a category, and then you could put certain parents in this category. So like Denzel and Will Smith, you already get see they not right to be playing with their kids.
Hey, you gotta do something, bro.
And it ignorance, honestly, but I think how Romeo is, his father has enabled him and handicapped that boy, and that's why he acting out now.
Every man got to have some liberation of freedom. I've never seen Romeo, like, I'm not making the judgment. I'm just saying, I just never seen the kid do anything I thought that he was doing. That's just my personal opinion. You know, even Bow Wow is a hard worker. I mean, even if he got some of him, Bow Wow was hard worker. Jermaine Dupri been done stop giving them stuff. Been stop.
Yo. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know why. I don't know why those boys, them young men, thought Shaquille O'Neal was going to just give that money up like that. This brother Shaquille O'Neal has went to. I think he went back to school. Became a sheriff of freaking Orlando out there in Florida. This man has shown
And
a
don't he
number
come from
of times.
like a deadbeat dad or something? I don't think his original dad ever did anything for him. He kind of grew up in poverty early on
Yeah,
in
but
North, right? Then some kind of switch, right?
nah, his
Sergeant,
stepdad was
the
in the
sergeant.
military. Yeah,
But his
came from a
real father,
military
his real
upbringing.
father come from North New Jersey. He ain't just a socioeconomic low-level guy. No disrespect, but and I mean, he spoke about it too, like not having that relationship. But
But his kids could be acting like that because of the mom, though, low key. Because I mean, he balling, he on the road, and the moms, she seemed more like to be on some. Ask your daddy for some money. Your daddy got millions, go get your daddy. So that's
you know
where.
what? I would like to be,
Yo, Shaq
I
has
got
his
some
doctorates,
opinions.
man. Yo,
I got some
Shaq has his
opinions
doctorates.
myself about that, but I'm just gonna keep it on that those kids gotta earn a bachelor's degree.
Listen, man. Shaquille O'Neal has his doctorate degree in education from Barry. So this is that's what that's about.
You can't come from where Shaquille O'Neal
tunnel
come
vision.
from. You can't see the struggles that he's seeing. He's a product of a single parent home first.
It's not. It's not the
Right.
arts to comply. It's not that if your parents do something, listen to your parents. It's very simple. It's very easy. And if your parents get money, you're gonna be rewarded. Look at Deion Sanders' kids. Them kids do everything he tell them to do, and look at how they living. They live in a very lavish life. They go everywhere he go because they all enrolled in school.
Look at LeBron kids. Look how good LeBron
I can't
kids.
wait.
LeBron
To
kids
see.
is privileged. Look at these kids.
I just about to say that.
Listen,
they listen.
Because they listen. They trust.
And he didn't even go to college.
They listen.
LeBron.
That's the difference. That's what
Carmelo Anthony's kid.
Listen, my parents told me to go to school. That's why I went.
Yeah.
I wanted to join the military. I wanted to join the Air Force. I'm like, bro, my homeboy is got boot camp. He got a brand new Camaro. This nigga in Germany, in Paris, and Italy, all in the same within 3 months. So I'm like, I'm trying to go to the military. But they're like, no, go to. I'm like, major on what? They're like, we don't know, figure it out. That's the difference. Listen to your parents. So that's the ball. He had all of them was in the NBA.
Yeah. Wow. Shout out to Shaquille O'Neal, man. Shout out to Shaquille. Shout out to Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah. I must say, man, after this conversation, I look at it totally in a different perspective. Even after doing the research, to look at his educational background, and we need more fathers like that, man. Especially in this celebrityism, man. We need that.
Who got money because think about it, they the new Rockefeller. They the ones that are invested in our community. So their minimum kids have to lead by example. Lead by example. You don't gotta be a baller. You ain't gotta be in the NBA. Lead with our mind. Sacrifice your body.
Yeah. So speak about briefly before I let you guys go, man. So one of the good things about going to college, right, is that you have fraternities and sororities, right? Was you a part of a fraternity?
Yeah, Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Got dear brother Martin Luther King.
Man. Really? Say it again, man. Wow. I got muffled out.
Turn the volume up.
Got Martin Luther King. He's a happy Martin Luther King Day.
So what are the benefits? What are the benefits of being in a fraternity that you found?
Benefit for me it's just the opportunity, really. The opportunity to have
contacts, network.
Well, not even that's the benefit, but the main to me, what I love about it the most is just the opportunity to be organized when we're giving back to the community and the opportunity to have to the community. Because I mean, I could have all these dreams and say I want to, you know, help the community, I want to do the shelter, I want to do all these things. But they already organized. They already have, you know, programs and different stuff. It's like I compare it to the Black Panthers, but it's certain programs that we have that easy to jump and participate in to, you know, benefit certain age groups, certain, you know, type of people.
You know, listen, man, we're going to address this statement that the young lady made, but, you know, with you being in, getting your degree in criminal, your law degree in criminal, was criminal, it's a criminal degree, right? How you?
Juris Doctor, my Juris Doctorate.
Okay, awesome. So I would love to see a brother like yourself, you know, give back to the community, like the nonprofit organizations, you know, like, because you said it's the 2%, right? Right. So if we're only at 2%, that's probably one of the reasons why these young brothers are uneducated on our laws, our rights, you know. So I would love to see that. Now, Steve, now you being a part of a fraternity, that's what fuels you to know how to do it in an organized fashion. It's important.
Can I?
So let's address Anthony. Okay, she says encourage the world with positive vibes, like finance, educational goals, management skills. Indeed.
Can I ask you a question? What, like, you're a positive young brother. Why do you think still? Because you used the analogy of like I kind of see it like the Panthers, kind of sort of, but we're not. Could it not be that we have so many great Black fraternities? We have you guys. We have the Omega Psi Phi, which is another great Black powerful fraternity, right? But yet, like, when you get to Harlem, we don't see the presence of our great Black fraternity brothers. We don't see the AK brothers. We don't see the Omega Psi Phi brothers. Like, we don't see them. Like, we know they there. We see y'all stomping, moving. We see y'all moving in the government, but we don't see in some of these great social economic depressed communities, you strong brothers, you know, banging that through. Why do you think that is?
I think my personal opinion, I gotta make sure I say that, personal opinion, not speaking for the fraternity. The biggest thing that I see, biggest thing is education. So we're in the schools. We're showing face in the schools. We're showing face on a college campus. We were founded because all these organizations was founded based off of the development of men, the educational body. So with the Panthers, that's covering everybody. You know, that's people in jail, people outside of jail, Black people as a whole. I think with the fraternities, you know, we're just, our attention is directed in one space, and that's just the education, but primarily the college sense. So our main focus is getting people to college, keeping them there. After you graduate college.
Okay. I get
it. They more so, you know, forget education, forget, you know, we not going to take being treated a certain kind of way by anybody.
Right, but it's like the thing about, even when you get there with this big Black persona, right, that we are this big African American gate to get other Black men to that Harlem. Like, we can't all the time. Like, sometimes I think what I'm trying to say is that all fraternities caught up in that mentality you're saying, and they're thinking that, you know, outside of that gate, that those who can't get there, then they just don't get there. Because there got to be some kind of way when you say when we're there and we're taught to stay. Like in the penitentiary, right? Flip side. We go there ignorant. Then we're taught to get educated there and to come out and save a whole masses of people so they don't get there. So most people who formerly incarcerated, we take jobs at nonprofit organizations, never making money because all we do is save lives for other young people not to get there. But we see a lot of times that we have, like I say, Omega Sci-Fi, AKA Bubba's, great, big. But that education, like you said, is it just y'all keeping it segregated there? Some of these kids might need to see it somewhere else. Like how the NAACP, even though they started somewhere, they felt the need. You had to know that there was an NAACP office somewhere or urban league somewhere. But you can get this wholesome how to get to there. These men keeping that fundamental children getting there. That the road to getting there would be so right.
I think the important thing is where our community is so far behind that it's not going to take just one body, you know, because even the Panthers, they couldn't do it by themselves. It's going to take multiple areas, multiple people on board, multiple organizations on board for us to get it right. So from my point of view, something's better than nothing. And the fraternities avenue is strictly getting brothers to college, helping brothers do whatever they need, and showing the world that there are people who are capable of becoming an engineer and an attorney, and showing the world that, you know, we don't only have to be jail or prison, or we don't only have to be, you know, this type of occupation, that occupation. So from my point of view, the fraternity, they show representation to not the community that you're talking about, but other community, to let them know there's people like us, and we're all around you, and we come. So
Yeah.
well, you feel like, you know, why y'all not in Harlem? You know, so, you know, to the young brothers, this, that, and the third. My point of view, that's one issue, but it's subjective. It could be a bigger issue. So what's more important? You know, you might feel like it's more important for us to be in Harlem. Other people might feel like it's more important for my fraternity to have a chapter at Harvard University, for us to have a chapter at Princeton University, for us to be at Cornell, for us to be at Yale, just to show them we come in, we here.
And I feel you, Dev, because that's a big fight.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a big fight, and you can and sometimes you can lose focus. Sometimes you got to have like a tunnel vision, right? You don't want to lose focus on the children or the young adults,
right,
who are in college, who want to be doctors, who want to be lawyers, and you focusing on Pookie, respectfully.
That's what,
you know what I'm saying, trying to keep him out of jail, right?
Yeah.
So let's get to these questions. All right, Dev. Someone said the development of men. He said, let me ask you why a felon can't pledge. He said, I've been working for myself for 7 years out of prison for 10.
Why a felon can't pledge.
And we're gonna get to you, Monica.
The issue is because of the I think because of the kid piece, being around kids. So the fraternity has insurance, so if something happens, blah blah blah, we got to pay out.
Okay.
All of that stuff. So you know, sex offenders, stuff like that. We work with kids. We work with little girls. We work with all of that. So that's their way of, I guess, gatekeeping who's, you know, good and who's not good.
Okay, that makes sense. Total sense. Okay, Monica says, and I just followed you, Monica Rena, because you dropping some points. The drop rate is high. This young generation gives up because people lose interest in them. They turn to the street instead of learning a skill and focusing on living themselves.
Do they do that anymore though?
The rate is high. The rate is high. Young generation give up because people lose interest in them.
Yeah.
People lose interest in them.
Sometimes.
But do you, so
They
do y'all
turn to the street instead of learning a skill and focusing on living themselves. Okay, so I got you, Dev. So people lose interest in them. That could be the teachers. That could be whomever. There might not be enough role models in the community centers, whatever. And then you have these schools, these high schools that don't have like the after school program. A lot of public schools, they don't have the after school programs. They don't have anything that that gets the kids' attention, right? So there's so many different, a kid might not want to be a doctor. He might not want to be, et cetera, but there's nothing at this. There's a lack of extracurricular activities per se.
I get that. I think that
or is that an excuse?
With those type of things, we have to look at the numbers. I know for a fact there's an increase on what our community is doing in the sense of going to school, picking up trades. Because now the cool thing now is to get a trade. Everybody's, college, I get a trade. So I don't necessarily think people are choosing the street like the propaganda and the media is displaying that we're choosing the street.
Yeah.
People don't get me wrong, people still choosing, gang life and the streets or whatever, but we're doing a much better job than we were in the 90s.
Yeah, I just think that, I tend to agree, man, that the opportunities are there, right? I think this thing about education is covered individual with these kids. And some of them are finding there's so many easy avenues out from getting this great education. And that's kind of straining, this educational matter we're having, kids thinking that, that they can make greater ways at it. But, I just think that's what it is, man. And at some point we all, yeah.
I agree. And that's kind of to piggyback off that. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, we may not be going to college, but I think it's a plus for us because we're not choosing gang, not choosing. But there is also a negative because we're choosing to be, maybe a YouTuber, maybe we want to be a TikTok dancer or something. But I think it's a win because
years ago, breakdancing was a hard trade to get into and earn. A lot of breakdancers never earned no money from the trade. And these kids today, man, they skipping around these dances and becoming superstars overnight.
Let me tell you something.
Ellen Show.
Show. Yeah. Let me tell you something. After God's will, I get my degree next year. I want to continue to go to school.
Right.
I want to continue to educate myself, get a master's. I don't want to stop there, brother. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, I think to respond to what you said, Devin, he said, so me changing my life around and showing the change don't help the youth. I understand restrictions, but it's people like me that understand street life as well as redemption. I've mentored kids and helped them turn away from gang life, but I'm not able to be a part of the Divine Nine. But go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but
I gotta answer for this. I got one for back there. I'm not.
My fraternity was founded in 1906 on the college campus of Columbia University. 7 black men, and just y'all mindsets back then, no cars, and no horses. People horses in class. So I mean, their main purpose was the development of college men. That was it. So after that, it trickled Here we
That
are.
was the
I'm
assignment. That
familiar.
was the assignment.
That was the purpose. That was it. So at that point, I get what you're saying, because I mean, Martin Luther King, I'm not saying he was a felon, but he was in jail many times for protesting or whatever. So I'm with you. I don't, and I'm in law school, so I feel, you deserve all the rights and a fair chance. You did your time, so it should be the path. I feel, but a parent going to a parent, and it's risk management. Go to a parent and be like, look, we allow this person in our fraternity, and they done beat up my kid. Well, I don't know. I don't know how the fraternity is looking at it. I understand it's a risk management thing, and it's just a part of the system. But that avenue, I mean,
I
I don't
did a
make the
lot of,
calls on that.
I'm not a fraternity member because, like, I got a great, my brother's an Omega Psi Phi and a naval man that, like I said, I won't speak
Right.
about my brother. So, to know about the black fraternity is something that me being an ex-offender that I've always looked into, because I always said, and the reason let me just say briefly, reason why I said what I said earlier about fraternities, because how I got my love and affection for a fraternity was when I was a young boy in the 70s. I would see them in the hood repping that fraternity. And it made me say, one day I heard a girl say, oh my God, those are Q dogs. And I was like, what the hell is that? And when I seen that purple and gold, I always had that thing. And then I found out my brother was an Omega Psi Phi. Then I found out that I couldn't be one. But I think the reason why when you are an ex-offender, because see, when you read about these guys, they're guys that came up what they call like that dirt boot and strap, where black men set the precedence to do no harm, to kick up no dusty dirt that offends another man. Like fraternities, black fraternities is built on a pride in the nature of a man that stood on great moral ground, never to offend anyone. So once you offend, it's like, like even your moral nature of the suggestion of what is moral to offense, man, you falter. There's no falter to, like an AKA brother said, there's no falter to this march. The Q dog will say, boy, we barking and digging to the dirt with no break in it. It's that moral rope and firmness they hold on to, not to break a word or to break a bond or to harm a life. So if you kind of do it, it makes you unworthy, but you can reach the status that they will recognize you, though, and make you an unofficial.
Yeah.
So you can get that if you really want it. Like
Right.
me. That's why my brother's a Omega Psi Phi Q dog. So when I come out the pen, I turn a penitentiary degree into a PhD. I chalk hard. I do all this reformative work you do, hoping that they say, Nate, your brother, man, that boy charged through the dirt and popped the chain. He became a certified man.
But go ahead.
Just to
Go
piggyback
ahead.
on that, we with our national convention every year we have at least 5 people who got fraternity brothers who pledged in college. They done got pinged up with murder charges, rape charges, whatever, and we bring these cases to the national convention, and those brothers are stripped of their letters. They're no longer a member of the fraternity. They are kicked out of the fraternity forever. They're never allowed to join again, and that's it. I was talking to my mentor. We have a petition coming up. This guy in Texas, he just got pinged up for murder. They're about to strip his letters. He no longer is we're no longer affiliated with him. He's no longer a member. So brothers like that, we'll support you through thick and thin, but brothers like that, we can't, we're going to remove you from, like he's saying, we're trying to be as clean as possible. And another point I want to make, there's other organizations. Divine Nine ain't the only thing out here trying to help our community. You have your civic leagues, you have the NAACP, you have the Urban League, you could nonprofits. We need representation everywhere. We need people on, the people getting out of prisons. They need mentorship. You know, it's hella organizations, man. So don't get caught up on, oh, you know, I can't be a Divine Nine member, because if you truly have a purpose for helping our people, you will not let that one avenue stop you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely wanted to say that, to encourage that, brother. Just because you can't get down with a specific organization, even if you have to start your own. You know, you can get an LLC, you can get a nonprofit and start your own. The other brothers like yourself who probably want to do the same thing as you. Just like the fraternity that you're in now. Devin, you said it started in
1906,
seven brothers, right?
You know, on a very Ivy League campus. Just imagine that in 1906. We talk about 60 years before civil rights. Black, everybody, all them black. They damn near the only black people at the school.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
You know, and it was probably quadruple times as hard to even start something like that.
You know, the non-fair in 07, man.
Right. Yeah.
Sheesh. You know they gonna hold you to some high standards that they gonna pull that off.
Right. Then you got the Boule, you got the Masons that was 1770s, the Prince Hall Masons.
The Prince Hall Masons.
Yeah. The Shriners, you know, you got it's a lot of organizations out here, and it don't got to be Divine Nine. So if you want to be a part of something, you know, help is needed everywhere.
Yeah, there's tons of organizations out there. There's tons. Wow. Thanks a lot, brothers, man. Thanks a lot, man. You know, I'm glad we was able to, you know, hit these certain points and just talk about and just build, you know, get information. And I appreciate the questions. And we want to give a special shout out to the brother Lock and Zeke. You know, we wish the best for you, and we hope that, you know, we encourage you to be a part of another organization, that could, you know, could be a change in the community, because we feel your pain.
Keep
we
that
know what's going on out
work
there.
going, bro.
We know what's going on.
You know, positive men recognize
Yeah.
positive men. This volume control channel is from positive men. Doing positive work, making a positive connection. Doesn't matter where you from.
Big facts. Yeah. Keeping education first. I think that should be the foundation of anything you want to do in life these days, man. You gotta keep it first. You got to. All right. So we're gonna sign out. Thanks a lot, brothers, and talk to y'all soon.
All right now. All right.